everybody. What up? What up? Happy Friday to everybody. Love Fridays. Just something about Fridays. It just makes the morning a little bit better. I wish I should have brought my guns like Christian did today. He brought his arms out today for us. He told me he was at the gym. I called him earlier today. He's like, I'm gonna be at the gym. I said, it doesn't matter. So let me just make sure. So good morning, everybody. We got a really good show this morning. I'm very, very excited to have this guy Joseph on here. And let me just tell you, I looked at the picture of Joseph. If you saw Figured Out Friday, and I saw his picture, I was like, immediately my initial thought, I'm like, this guy's not to say he's not a badass, but I was just like, man, this guy's like tough, and like he's just gonna be like completely those some people, like my brother-in-law, he works on cars. And like people who work on cars, when you shake their hand, I feel like their hand like eats my hand because it's like so powerful and strong and thick and just like. And so when I saw Joseph's picture on Figured Out Friday, I was like, damn, this guy's, boy, he's just rugged and tough. And I talked to him this morning. I've had a couple conversations. He is just like this cute little bear, and I say this nicely, like he's just a really soft-spoken guy, and it was really cool just to, like, you hear his voice and you're like, wow, what a nice guy he is. And so I'm really, really excited to have Joseph on here, and I'm gonna have Christian lead us here in a minute. But good morning, everybody. Good morning, Facebook world. Guys, say good morning to us. Put it in the chat. Tell us where you're from. Facebook world, don't be bashful now. Facebook world, come on now, it's Friday. Let's not be tired on Friday. We had a little bit. Bryce boy, we're going to Wilmington this weekend for a soccer tournament, and he did not want to go to school, and so he was up in the middle of the night crying about going to school. And I was just like, oh dear Lord, this is the last thing I need right now at 3:15 in the morning, having this conversation with the 4-year-old. It was very, very exciting. So anyways, that was my excitement that I had this morning. So good morning, everybody. Scott's driving normally he's in his office, but good morning, Melissa. Good morning. To have a lot of you on here this morning. I'm not going to take up too much of your time here, Christian. I'm going to let you introduce your cousin. I remember you having a conversation. You're like, Brock, you need to talk to my cousin. He needs to be on the show. And so I was like, I love it when people have somebody that they think that needs to be on Figured Out Friday, because that's what it's all about. It's figuring it out. Christian, I'm going to let you do the warm welcome of your cousin here and share a little bit about why you felt that he was the right fit. I know it, but I want you to share it with others since you know him a little bit more than I do.
All right. Can you guys hear me? You hear me okay?
Yep.
Cool. So I just wanted to have Joseph on. He's my cousin. We weren't really we didn't know each other too well growing up, but I really admire him as you'll hear, as a father, as a leader, as a businessman, as a military vet. So he's an international businessman now, which is pretty cool. So I just want to welcome him on. If you guys didn't see the Instagram live with him that I did, check out my Instagram. It was really good. We talked about leadership and family, what it means to be a leader. So I'm sure he'll touch on some of those topics today. But that's all I've got for you guys. I want to introduce you to Joseph Frangos. Come on, Joseph.
Hey, good morning, everybody. And again, Brock, thank you for the opportunity. Christian, thank you, for obviously bringing this opportunity up. And I'm excited to be here. Guys, I want to know though, like really quick, what's everybody's industry? And I know some of you guys are realtors, some of you guys are entrepreneurs. I know the majority of you are entrepreneurs, but if you're not driving, put it in the chat. I definitely want to know what you guys do. And I'm really big about like engagement, asking questions. Like I want to hear from you guys, right? If I say something that you guys are like, oh, can you say that again? Or can we talk about that a little bit more? Just stop me. Just like unmute yourself, and that's fine. Real estate investor, sick. Okay. Chad, financial industry. Amy's a realtor. Cool. Awesome. So I'm going to kind of blitz through like who I am, just so that way you guys are like, why is this guy even here? Because I know a lot of times, right, we all see speakers and we're like, who is this person? To give you guys an idea, again, my name is Joseph Frangos. Christian is my cousin. And yeah, we didn't know each other a lot growing up, but he and I got connected as we got older, because as we started to pursue businesses in life, we really just got more plugged in. So for me, just to give you the Reader's Digest, I grew up in California, specifically San Francisco area, and growing up, for those who obviously, right, kind of notice, I'm of a little bit of a darker complexion and Christian's of a lighter complexion, right? And I'm adopted. And the reason I bring that up is because it does play into who I am and why I am the way that I am. So with me being adopted, it played a huge part in my overall upbringing and understanding who I am as a person and really trying to plug together, what do I want to do out of life? What do I want to become? Because there's a lot of different influences and things going on around me, because as I grew up, my parents split up, which was, as a kid, a traumatic thing. And trying to figure out who I am and what I'm doing was a big thing. So at a very young age, I got plugged in with, let's just say, not the right crowd. Started doing really dumb things, started getting in the wrong conversations in the wrong mix. And it just messed with me, right? It messed with my upbringing. And then I had to move from where I was at in San Francisco to go live with my mom in this other smaller town. So it was like a big shift, but it gave me a little bit more clarity as to, okay, I'm leaving this life. I'm going to go pursue this life and kind of fresh slate. Let's figure out who I'm going to be. Because now I'm in the high school years. Go through that. I get through high school, still trying to, dabble in these behaviors and these actions that I'm involved in, right? Smoking weed and doing stuff like that, right? And then here I am now. I'm 18, 19 years old. And I meet my wife now at the time, but then she was my girlfriend. I met her at church. And she's like, hey, I think you should probably start to try to figure out life a little bit better. Right. She is older than me. So she did the wise wife thing. And if anybody in here has a wife who's very wise, put a 1 in the chat, because I know you know what I'm talking about. And so she's like, you should do something a little bit better with your life. So I'm like, and Christian's like, boom, hit that 1. And so, yeah, Chad's like, yep, me too. So she's like, you should join the military. And I'm like, okay, never thought about that. I did a little bit because my grandfather was in the Air Force. One of our cousins was in the Marine Corps. Right. Variety of service members. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I've had this past, I've had this upbringing, gotten a lot of fights, did all this thing. How hard can the military really be? Right. Is it really going to be that big of a shift? And like, boy, was it. Right. I joined the Army when I was 20 years old. I got married when I was 20 years old. And so when I got into the military, it was a reality check, because I'm going from what I know. I'm going from my environment. I'm going from comfort. Right. And the reason I bring up comfort is because one of my favorite quotes, and for some of you, maybe you can relate to this, maybe it resonates with you, is comfort and growth don't mix, right? So you got to choose one. And so for me, I went from being completely comfortable in where I was at, what I was doing. And at that time, before I joined the Army, I was just working at Starbucks. And again, I was a kid, right? Like 19 years old, 20 years old, trying to figure out life. And I had lived a lot of life already, but here I am now. I'm like, okay, I'm an adult. All right, we got to figure this out. We got this girlfriend, and I want to pursue something that's worth pursuing, right? If anything, something that gave me purpose or meaning in life. I think for some of you, and like, I know this for myself to be true, when it comes to life, a lot of times we're always trying to figure out, like, what's my purpose? Does what I do bring value to people? Does what I do bring value to me? Does what I do give me a reason to really kind of stand up and do something with life, right? Or am I just on cruise control? For a long time, I was on cruise control. It was wake up, school, smoke weed, eat breakfast, right? It was just this mundane thing. And I'm like, man, I know there's more to life than this. So when I joined the Army, completely different. There's no comfort when you join the military. And by the way, is there any vets in here? Like, if you are a vet, put a 1 in the chat, because you'll know what I'm talking about. But then you get to the military and you join it and you get bombarded. People screaming at you, staying up late, not sleeping, pushing your body to limits that you didn't even think you could push it to. And then you're being surrounded by people you've never met, right? So you're almost forced to, again, go from comfort to growth. And in that growth, that period of my life, I realized, okay, you know what? I'm going to give this military thing everything I have. I'm just going to let everything of me go. And I'm just going to take on this new identity of being a soldier. Right. That's what I wanted, because for me, it made me show me that I was capable more than just what I was doing at the time. Okay. Joined the military and I went with what's called the 19th Delta Cavalry Scout. So we did a lot of reconnaissance and combat arms kind of stuff, a lot of shooting and running and just, being a gun nut, so to speak. And so for me, it was cool to experience this new brotherhood, if anything, right? And be surrounded by dudes who had my back and cared about me and established this loyalty. What I realized, though, was that even as a kid, I always loved basically being, okay, cool. Well, Melissa, if you see me, appreciate your service. The one thing I noticed is that as a kid growing up, I always had an knack for wanting people to do it, like, not necessarily what I want to do, but what was for the benefit of like the group, right? Because you go from being a kid, and I'm sure some of you might remember this from your childhood or high school or whatever, if you did sports, sometimes somebody has to take initiative and show you or show others what's better for the collective, what's better for the group. So somebody has to take that role. So I noticed that as a kid and playing sports and doing other stuff, that's something that I enjoyed doing, just kind of leading the pack, so to speak. From the military, I did the same thing. When I would notice that there's conflict, I could step in and say, hey, you know what? How about we try this? We'll integrate a little bit of that. We'll integrate a little bit of this, and we'll put it into play. And let's just do it together. Because if we do it together, we come to an agreement, we can make this thing progress as needed. And so for me, I realized quickly, And my peers, my leadership noticed around me, hey, this guy has something. So again, new phase in life, new career and everything that I'm doing, I got noticed very quickly for just having natural leadership abilities. And for me, it stuck out personally because I'm like, hey, you know what? This is cool. I enjoyed this. And so what I realized in these moments, in these little moments of time, and again, this is something you guys need to start doing as well, is kind of pinpoint what some would call core memories or core moments in life that, if anything, identify who you are, identify what makes you tick, or something that you're naturally good at. Because again, we talk about value and what service do I provide to my community, to my world, to my family, whatever. And there's certain things you're going to do naturally or inherently that you do better than others. And that's okay. And you need to accept that. And when you identify those things, right? Some of you might be really good speakers. I'm more than positive that all of you in here are great connectors and great networkers. Especially being entrepreneurs, you have to be. Right? You have to be able to talk to other people. You have to be able to try to lead other people. And even if they don't necessarily work with you or work for you, you still want to focus on how can I lead these people? So, right, some people mentioned being realtors, financial services, you're guiding people, right? You're showing people what they need to do in order to accomplish whatever it is that they're coming to you for, right? So they see something in you. So that should tell you already right off the bat, there's something in you that somebody else sees that they like. And so one thing that I do,
I would say is, and sorry to interrupt you, Joseph,
no, you're good.
I think you brought up a really, really, really good point. I listened to Steve Harvey, and Steve Harvey made me ask this question. I remember Coach Burt even said this to me. He goes, Brock, I'm going to challenge all of you on here. Like Joseph, what is your gift? Like, what is the gift that you have? And most of us have a limiting belief that we don't explore really what we're good at. Right. But God gave us that gift to use it, not to hold on to it, not to keep it in our drawer, but to use it. And most people, I was talking to somebody yesterday, most people, the richest place in the world is the cemetery because we never use the gift that God gave us because we had limiting beliefs. We weren't in the right environment. And so that question right there, what you said is like, think about it today, guys. What is your gift that God gave you?
Yeah. And I agree. And that's the thing is once you start focusing on that specifically of yourself, it opens up more opportunities, right? Yeah, exactly. What is my why? It gives you a purpose, right? It gives you a deeper meaning. And again, right, remember all the things I brought up, being adopted, parents getting a divorce, things that happened to me, right? Getting involved with the wrong crowd, all of that, right? Kind of led up to where I'm getting to with all this. So as I pursue the military and all that, my wife and I get pregnant. Not, you know what I'm saying? You guys get that statement, right? My wife got pregnant. And so here I am now, right? Getting ready to become a dad, and I'm young, right? I'm 21 years old. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know how this works, but I knew for a fact, all I ever wanted to be was a dad. So then here it is again, right? This new season in life I'm approaching really quickly. Then I'm like, okay, I need to take on this new chapter of me. I need to figure out me again, right? What is my purpose? What am I bringing to the world? Because now I have this child. This child is coming quick. My daughter's 7 now. So you can do the math, right? I was 21, 28 years old. A lot of people are like, how old are you? 40? I'm like, we could guess if you want. So, my daughter comes, and when she's born, it was, does anybody here have kids? Actually, I'm curious whether it's on here or Facebook, put one in the chat or raise your hand. Yeah. You know how that feeling is. The first moment where you hold your child and you look at them and like everything changes, everything, the way you look at yourself, the way you look at life, the way you want to treat people, the way you want to talk, everything changes. And this is where, for me, I had it was like this glimpse of just what I knew that I wanted. And here's my key word in life is legacy. Christian knows this. I talk about legacy every single day, nonstop. I'm holding my daughter and I'm looking at her and I'm like, this is my legacy. So I have to now do everything in my power to rid of all these bad habits, all the stupid stuff I do with, and in the Army, in the military. And I know you guys probably hear this statistic a lot of veterans, a lot of military folk, they drink a lot. They smoke a lot of cigarettes. They do a lot of tobacco. Literally overnight, stop smoking, stop doing any dip, like the stuff you put in your lip. And I definitely weaned down a lot on drinking. I still enjoy a beverage every now and then. My wife likes wine, so cool. But I realized in this moment, like, there's all these things that I am doing that I don't want for my daughter. And my kid was my big enough reason to be like, all right, cool. My legacy is so important to me that everything that I'm a part of, everything that I'm doing, I can rid myself of. And I can rewrite my story again. I can rewrite who I am. And for some of you who don't have kids, it might not be a moment where you are holding your child. It just might be something you go through in life as an adult that you can, in a way, metaphorically hold and look at and be like, man, this is that moment in life that I can look at and say in reference, this is when my life changed. This is when I decided to look at my legacy and what I'm doing, what am I going to leave behind, and I can change it. And that's the beautiful thing of life. Like anything and everything you do, you can change. But we put so much pressure on ourselves from the world. What are people going to think? What are people going to say? What's Facebook going to say? What's Instagram going to say? I'm just going to tell you right now. Am I allowed to say a swear word on here? Is that cool with everybody? I don't want anybody like, oh, my kid's around. Because I get that. All the shit you think you're going to get from the people around you, I promise you right now, it ain't going to last. Okay. I guarantee you. Like, perfect example, when, I don't know, let's just reference when Trump lost the last election, right? We're not going to get into that. But my point is nobody's really talking about it anymore. Like, oh, he lost. We all kind of move on. It's the same thing. And that's huge. That's massive. That's global. You think that the 2,000 people, 3,000 people you're friends with on Facebook should determine and dictate what you do in life and where you want to head? Definitely not. You can't allow people and things of the world to really just gear you in a way that you don't want to go. Do what you want. Life is short and life is precious. And you only have right now in the moments and these opportunities and communities like this to be a part of. If you hear somebody around you pour into you or see something, or you get this spark of inspiration, act on it. Do something with it. Because again, if I talk about legacy and I look at my life now, again, when I had my daughter, my legacy changed. So we're talking 7 years of just growth and time and moments in my life that I've had to shift and change and make myself better. So at this point now, I've got my daughter. I realize all this. I decide I'm going to get out of the military because I want to be home. I want to be around my kid. I want to be a present dad. From there, we were living in Georgia at the time. Now we're in Arizona. That's why I'm wearing a hoodie and a hat, because it's 5 a.m. here, but I wake up early, so I love it. And so I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to move to a whole other place, be closer to my wife's family because they're all here in Arizona, and I'm going to get a job. I got a job at a utility company. We blitzed through that. That was a couple of years of my life. And I realized, okay, cool. I want to get into real estate. Because some of you might be like, what's this guy do for business? How's he an entrepreneur? So I got into real estate, specifically wholesaling. Don't hate it. Okay. Don't hate on me. Wholesaling is pretty sick. And I do a lot of work with agents, like a lot. And we get a lot of deals done. So I got into wholesaling, figured out really quickly that I basically made 3 times what I was making in my job doing that. And I was like, woof, like mind blown. I was like, dude, why am I at this job if I can live this lifestyle and do this and build this business and be even more of a dad? Well, push came to shove. And again, forced progression. Has anybody ever heard of forced progression? Anybody know what that means? Put a 1 in the chat if you know what forced progression is. Put a 2 if you don't. I'll tell you really quickly. Cool. All right. So yeah, perfect. So Sandy. So forced progression is basically when you were forced with some sort of opposition to make a decision, right? So for me, it was, okay, hey, you have to either deploy, because I was in the reserves, because I still needed that insurance at that time. And I was, okay, you got to either deploy, which puts you away for 11 months, or 2, I'm going to quit my job and go all in on entrepreneurship. So I was faced with this forced progression moment again, where I have to be like, all right, what's going to be the best decision for my family, for myself, and for my business? And so I put myself in this situation where I sat with my wife. I prayed about it. And I'm like, okay, I know I don't have to go on this deployment because there's certain things that I can do for me not to go. So I went the route of quitting my job and going all in business. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to kill it. Fell right on my face. I got injured right after I quit my job, messed up my back, couldn't walk for a month, and then business just slowed down dramatically. So here I am now faced with this crazy opposition. But I committed to this thing of just like, if I want it bad enough, I'm going to get it. And if I want it bad enough, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to get it. And that's what I did. Even though I couldn't walk, sat on the couch, made phone call after phone call after phone call. And I was committed. And I said, I'm going to get a deal in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to get a deal in the next 2 weeks. And I said it every single day. I'm going to get a deal. I'm going to get a deal. I'm going to get a deal. Boom, I got a deal. His homeowner had a hoarder house. She needed to move. She needed to go to a new place. All that. She made $190,000. I made 12 grand, which was 4 months. At that time, that was 4 months of my expenses. And I was like, thank you, God. This is what I needed. Boom. Same thing. So we just doubled down. This is what I'm facing now. Yeah. So for you, Melissa, if this is what you're facing, I'm going to tell you straight. You have to address it head on. Don't try to avoid it. Don't try to mitigate it with dopamine hits. Focus on the work. Focus on the action. Focus on things that work. And I don't mean like just working, like the action of working. I mean, there's some people who will, it's like this. The perfect example I give you a shovel. Okay. That's the tool you get, but you got to just dig a hole. You either dig into the hard soil, which is going to bust your back. It's going to take you just as long, but a little bit to the right, there's a whole lot of watered down soil. It's a lot easier and you're going to get that job done within minutes. Right. So do the work that you're doing, but focus on exactly where you're putting that work into and what's going to get you the most results faster. Okay. It makes it a lot easier. And that's what I did. I just focused again on what am I good at and where do I see that's producing, right? What do I see that's showing me that I can do this, or I'm going to make it out of this? And so that's really what I did. I focused on cold calling because I knew I was good on the phones, and texting and paying attention to what didn't work. I got away from it. And so from this point on, at that time of my life, I realized, okay, there's certain things and core values that I live by. And this is something that Brock and I connected on earlier, is the 4 F's, right? And this is why I created these 4 F's that I'm like, you know what, I'm going to live by this. So for me, it was my faith, it's my family, my fitness, it's my finances. Okay. Your faith, your family, your fitness, and your finances. And the reason that those 4 were so important to me, those core 4, is because I realized that if I'm off in any one of those, everything else is basically affected by it. If my finances aren't doing too well, then my family's probably taking a hit. My fitness is probably taking a hit because now I'm stressed. And when I was stressed, then I go to maybe bad eating habits or not eating enough. And then I go in the gym because I'm going to put all my work in to trying to make money or whatever's going on. Or my faith isn't as tight, like if I'm not going to church and reading my Bible and praying every day, I'm not going to church every day, but you get what I'm saying. I realized that affected my relationship with my daughter. And again, if that's my biggest thing, that's my legacy, I need to be aligned and I need to take care of me. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things I could say here today is you need to take care of you, because what good are you to the people around you if you're not operating at 100%? You're going to put yourself in a situation, and you're going to put those around you in a situation they don't need to be in. So you need to focus on you. And I get it as a man, as a businessman, as a businesswoman, it's easy to put everybody else before you. And as a good leader, as a great leader, that's going to happen a lot. But I can promise you this much: sacrifice certain things so you can work on you. Waking up early, staying up a little bit later, reading books, personal development, doubling down on the things that are going to make you a better person. And at the end of the day, focus on those 4 F's or your legacy, or what your purpose is. And again, your gifts, right? So, yeah.
Man, I wrote down a bunch of notes here. And the first one I wrote down here was, and I'm going to lean into this and make sure everybody understands. And if you're taking these notes down, you need to write down: comfort and growth do not go together. I can't stress it enough, but to hear from Joseph, from another person, just it is so true that people who want to grow in today's market, and people that I talk to and people that I coach and people that I come in conversations with, and going to these events and talking to different people in different states, like Brock, they think that there's I have some secret formula over here that I'm just holding on to, and that hey, what are you really doing? Behind the scenes, what are you really doing? I'm like, it's a shit show. It is nonstop, being relentless. It is doubling down. It is tripling down. It is doing things that you really don't want to do. It is everything that comfort does not give you. Because on the other side of growth, that's where the comfort sits. But I also will tell you, comfort's not there for a long period of time. Comfort lasts, some days it might be for a couple minutes. My comfort typically lasts for about 30 seconds when I get to go pick up Bryce from school, because he runs at me with open arms and so excited to see me. That is my comfort. And it lasts for 15 seconds. And it's okay, let's get in the car. Let's do this. Let me get on the phone. Let me go. Because you, if you want to grow and really, really grow, I guarantee you, Joseph, your life was probably hell, and you probably went through many different hell points to get to where you are today, and you're still growing.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate your story. And guys, I'm going to ask you, and Jay, if you could put his contact information in the chat here, and put if he spoke to you. And that's why we have people come on here. They might have triggered something to you. There might have been some more things that, man, I want to dive a little bit deeper with him. And when I ask people before we get on our call, they're like, man, I love to. And he was just like, yeah, please do. I'd be more than happy to help anybody, whether it's their personal life, whether it's wholesaling, whatever it might be. And the networking that this group and the people that have been on the show is just amazing to me to see where it takes place. And so give Joseph some hearts, guys. Give him some love in the Facebook world. I appreciate all the comments on the Facebook, and Lisa and Megan and Karen. Pat's on here, several of you on here. We had quite a bit of people on Facebook. Those that watch the recording, feel free. Joseph will go back. I tell him, go back to the chat, see what they got. So I appreciate the comments, guys, on here. Joseph, we got about a minute left. What do you want to send us off with for the weekend? What would be your final thing for the audience here today?
My final thing. This is something I ask myself on a regular basis. Is something that I ask a lot of the higher level people I talk to on a regular basis, as well as my own community. Like Bruce, a guy on here, his name is Bruce. Bruce is part of my community as well, and he's heard this question. But some of you guys can think about is, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind? But I don't want you to think of it on a surface level. I want you guys, bless you, Sandy. I want you guys to think about it on a deep internal level and spend actual time thinking about that question and how important that is, right? The mark that you're going to leave on the earth, the mark you're going to leave on the people you interact with on a daily basis, on a regular basis. What's that legacy look like?
Awesome, man. It's so true. Like many times I just thinking about my kids, it's like, what do I want my kids to remember me by? What do I want? Like, I always ask, Gary Keller said to me, if your kids followed you every day, would they be proud of you?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's such a huge ingredient that because my previous life, no, I wouldn't even allow them in probably the same block radius that I was in.
Yeah.
But I think about it many times. Like, what if Bryce and Brielle followed me, would they be like, man, my dad's pretty cool. My dad does a lot of work. My dad's busy. I'm proud of my dad. And as they get older, and for those of you that hold older kids, would they be proud of you on what you're doing? So, Joseph, I appreciate it. Christian, I appreciate you bringing Joseph on, man. What a phenomenal person you are, Joseph. And I look forward to watching you continue to grow. Joseph put his phone number on here. I got a couple people in Facebook world as well that wanted to reach out to you. So I did put it on Facebook too. I hope you don't mind. I put that out there in a private chat.
Yep.
And Joseph, man, thank you so much, brother.
No, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I hope you guys have a blessed day.
All right, all. Have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday, 8:15 Eastern time. We go mornings with Maxwell. I'll be back with you. Guys, thank you so much for being on here. Have a phenomenal weekend. God bless you all. See ya.